A baby's first word. It feels like this huge, triumphant milestone, right? But what if I told you it's so much more than that? What if it's actually a secret password, a key that unlocks the door to their hidden psychological world? Today, we're going to decode what those first words really mean and what they reveal about the tiny human mind that's just starting to take shape.
Okay, let's be honest. For so many moms, there's this moment you've been waiting for, dreaming of for months. You're just waiting to hear that one perfect word, mama. And then it happens. The first word is spoken. And it feels like the cutest, most adorable little knife in the back.
I mean, you've done it all. The 3 a.m. feedings, the explosive diaper changes, the endless rocking and shushing. You are the sun, the moon, and the stars in their tiny universe. And the very first broadcast from that universe is a shout out to the other guy. It's a story as old as time, and if you've ever felt that tiny sting of injustice, trust me, you are in very good company. But here's the good news. This isn't your baby playing favorites. Not at all. Science actually has a really cool 2-part explanation for this, and it starts not with feelings, but with the simple physics of how we make sounds. It all comes down to what's physically easier for a baby's mouth to do. Think about it. To make the D sound in dada, all they have to do is flick their tongue off the roof of their mouth. It's a simple, sharp, almost percussive sound. But the M in mama, oh, that's way more complicated. It's a nasal sound, which means they have to coordinate their lips, their voice, and the soft palate at the back of their throat. It's a much harder move. I love this analogy because it just nails it. Dada is like your baby learning to take their first wobbly step. It's a basic motor skill. But mama, that's more like learning a coordinated little dance move. They'll absolutely get there, but that simple first step often happens first, just because it's physically easier to pull off. But hold on, that's just the opening act. The physical explanation is, well, it's just the warm-up. The real reason dada often comes first is a psychological milestone that is so profound, it will completely change how you see that little word. It signals the birth of your baby's own separate self. So let's dive into this idea from attachment theory. For the first several months of their life, a baby is psychologically fused with their mom. Seriously. In their world, there is no me and mom. It's just one big connected unit. Dad, or another regular caregiver, is often the very first person they recognize as being a separate, distinct individual. They are the first other. So when your baby says dada, it isn't a statement of preference. It is a world-shattering declaration. It's your baby's brain saying, whoa, I see you, and you are not me. It is literally the first time they are naming another person. Only after that happens, when they start to see themselves as separate too, can they finally look at you and say mama, naming the central, most important fixture in their universe. It's not a betrayal, it's pure genius. So they're starting to talk, but what happens when the words don't come fast enough? Well, this leads to something every parent of a toddler knows all too well, the meltdown. And it's all fueled by something called the frustration gap. Here's the heart of the problem. A toddler's receptive language, that's all the words they understand, is massive. It's growing by the day. But their expressive language, the words they can actually say out loud, is lagging way, way behind. They know exactly what they want, but the words to ask for it just aren't there. And that gap is a recipe for absolute explosive frustration. I mean, can you imagine knowing exactly what you needed but having no way to form the words? You'd be screaming too. This isn't your kid being bad. It's a full-blown communication crisis playing out on your living room floor. Their mind is writing checks their mouth just can't cash yet. Now, as they start to close that gap and build their vocabulary, kids tend to take one of two very different paths. This is where we figure out if your toddler is a labeler or a socializer. So which one do you have? The referential learners are the little labelers. They're obsessed with pointing at things and naming them. Ball, dog, car. Their main goal is to categorize the world and make sure you understand them. But the expressive learners, they're the socializers. They use language to connect. They use big social phrases like thank you, love you, or messy word chunks like I want to go. Their goal isn't to be understood, it's to interact. Neither way's better, but it's a fascinating peek into how they think. But here's the thing. Whether your kid is a labeler or a socializer, they are all speeding towards a very narrow, incredibly sensitive period of time. It's a golden window where their brain is uniquely wired for language growth, and what happens here can literally set the stage for the rest of their lives.
You see how everything builds, right? First comes that repetitive babbling, the ba 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 and da da da. Then those first real words start to pop out. But right there, that 6-month stretch between 18 and 24 months, that is a neurological hotspot. Their brain is growing at an explosive rate, and it's desperately looking for input from the world to build the foundation for their future intelligence.
And in our modern world, this raises a really big question. If this window is so critical, can we, hack it? Can we use technology, AI caregivers, smart toys, all those educational apps, to give them a developmental boost? It is so tempting to think so, but the science is telling us something very, very different.
Here's the core issue. A baby's main job isn't to learn colors from a screen. Their main job is to learn trust and connection. Their brain is basically asking one question over and over. When I send a signal out into the world, does a real, responsive human answer me? An AI that pretends to be social can actually get in the way of that, replacing that rich, warm human connection with a cold, hollow echo.
So what is the most powerful brain-building tool on the planet? Well, it's something incredibly simple, and you're probably already doing it. It's called conversational turn-taking. It's just a fancy term for treating every little coo, every babble, every pointed finger as a real turn in a conversation. It's the simple back and forth, the serve and return, that literally builds a child's brain. Just how powerful is it? Get ready for this. A major study followed kids for a decade and found that the amount of conversational turn-taking they got during that golden window, it predicted 14% of the variance in their IQ scores when they were in middle school. 14%! But wait, it gets even more dramatic. That very same back-and-forth interaction accounted for 27% of the variance in their future verbal comprehension scores. A quarter, more than a quarter of their future language ability was directly linked to those simple chats you had with them when they were toddlers. That is just staggering. So what's the big takeaway here? Forget the apps. Forget the smart toys and the AI. The single most sophisticated, high-tech, neurologically powerful developmental tool on the entire planet is already in your house. It's you. Every single time you respond to a gurgle, you are literally acting as a neuroarchitect. You are strengthening connections. You are laying the foundation, not just for words, but for their future intelligence, their emotional health, and their ability to connect with other people for their entire life. And this brings us right back to where we started. That feeling of betrayal over dada, the frustration of a tantrum, the anxiety about whether they're hitting their milestones, it's all part of a shared journey. Because as your baby is learning how to speak, you're learning how to listen in a way you never have before. Your milestones are happening together. So I'll leave you with this final thought. The science makes it clear. Long before the first word is ever spoken, a rich, complex conversation is already happening. So knowing their brain is firing on all cylinders just to understand you, even when they can't talk back. How will you listen to their silence and their babbles a little differently tonight?